Welcome to AstroTwins Radio, your cosmic GPS for life, love, and everything written in the stars. We're Tali and Ophira Edut, the AstroTwins, here to decode the astrology of the moment and help you navigate your destiny like a pro. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to one of the busiest astrological weeks of the entire frickin' summer. Welcome to the week of July 20th to 26th. Tali here in LA today.
Yeah, and Ophi in New York, all the way across the country. I feel like we've said the busiest week of many times because it's 2026 has been like that. It's like a when it rains, it pours astrological year. But absolutely,
This one's crazy for
this
sure.
one definitely when I was writing the monthly horoscopes, I was like, and still going.
Well, just to give people the quick rundown, we have Monday, we have Jupiter forming an exact trine to Neptune, an exact opposition to Pluto. This is part of the Barbo basket formation that we were talking about, where four planets, four outer planets, all hit 4 degrees of the signs they were in and made this basket shape in the sky, this once and never ever happens kind of thing. So we're still in the aftershock of that. Tuesday, we have this Libra quarter moon, a momentary chance to possibly bring some balance. Then Wednesday, Leo season begins, which is going to be bigger and bolder than ever because Jupiter is also in Leo this year. Last time that happened was 2014 to 2015. Thursday, Mercury retrograde finally comes to an end after 3 weeks in Cancer. Then the weekend rolls in. Saturn turns retrograde on Sunday in Aries. The first time it's done its full retrograde in Aries in basically 30 years. Last year, it split the retrograde between Aries and Pisces. And I think the biggest news of the week on Sunday is that the lunar nodes, the destiny, fate-finding lunar nodes, these 2 points in the sky, north and south nodes of the moon, are finally changing signs. The south node goes into Leo, so that's kind of the karmic medicine we all are here to update. So while Jupiter and the Sun are being bold and sassy in Leo, the South Node is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Your ego is not your amigo. And then the North Node is calling us into this higher vision in the sign of Aquarius. So that starts this Sunday and it goes all the way until March 26th of 2028. So 20 whole months of that. And by the way, just a little invitation, Tuesday of this week, Tuesday, July 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern, we have our monthly manifestation meetup for Leo season. So you've already heard Leo mentioned a few times. We've got the Sun in Leo, Jupiter in Leo, and the South Node in Leo. So each month we've been meeting since the spring to just get together with you guys. It's a free webinar that we have. You can go to astrostyle.com/events and just get the link, save your seat. It's about 45 minutes, and we take you through an exercise. There's a little worksheet you'll get and help you just set some manifestation goals for the next 4 weeks. Because with all the news barraging us, we still need to keep our hands on the wheel in our own personal lives and, yeah, live in this parallel universe. So, while we give you all the planets, politics, pop culture, and prophecies here, the monthly manifestations are, a nice, more focused on your personal goals and ambitions too. But we need to keep you abreast of what's happening on this planet in every way. So that is tomorrow, Tuesday, or depending on you're listening, Tuesday, July 21st, and there will be a replay available all week in case you miss it. So go to astrostyle.com/events. Ophi, whew, that was a mouthful, but yeah.
The firstborn talks first, I guess.
Just wanted to get it all out. Well, you've been super busy working on our human design for astrologers course that's open for
Yep.
enrollment. You keep telling me about gates and channels and all
Hmm.
things, and it's been like really amazing. Why don't you just tell people about that since we're already on
Yeah.
this kick up here, and then we'll get into the
So,
world's happenings.
yeah. So, as we've been sharing for the last 18 months or so, Tali and I have been far down the rabbit hole of human design. We've, tracked it over the years, but always like so many of our other astrology friends would just like be like, okay, that's cool. I'm a generator, whatever. But whenever I tried to learn it more, I would get really overwhelmed because it just seemed like there was no bottom. It's like now there's another thing and another thing and another thing. I'm sure that's how astrology feels to people too when they start learning it. So the day that Neptune went into Aries, March 30th of 2025, I was struck by the urge to finally crack the code. It just was time. I woke up, there was actually like my whole apartment was pink. I don't know why. The light from the sun. I was like, okay, today is the day. Luckily, I'd been on a podcast called Day Luna by two women named Shayna and Dana. I love it. And they showed me a new view of human design called the Rave Mandala, where what became clear was that astrology is actually the foundation of it. I suspected that because you needed to put your time, date, and place of birth in to get a human design chart. So I went on a quest and figured out how it all worked, how all the parts fit together. And I had hoped to have this course much sooner, but what I also learned, human design infuses Eastern methodologies like the I Ching and the chakras. And those are not meant for the Western mindset or timeline. You really have to take your time and live with them and learn them, which was really enjoyable. So that's all to say that at last we are ready to share how to understand human design from an astrology centered perspective. It's a way that people have never really taught it because they tend to teach that you're a generator and a manifesting generator, projector, which is great. But the link to astrology has not yet been really comprehensively and clearly explained. So, human design for astrologers does that in a fun and hopefully like really fascinating and enlightening way. I call it somatic astrology.
Yeah, it
It's like
really is. Hmm.
essentially, when you do a birth chart, you map the planets in the sky and then they're kind of just out there. You put them in houses, different parts of your life. With human design and astrology, you map them onto your body and your energy centers instead. So it's how the energy of the planets is flowing through you in every part of your life. So it's very practical and interesting way to learn astrology and live your astrology. So the course we're going to start releasing, it'll be self-paced on July 26th. And we're
That's
doing
a
a summer
Sunday.
this Sunday and
Yeah,
summer introductory special. The course is normally going to be $997. It's $397 because we want to share this. We want to make it accessible for everyone. We know it's something new and 60% off for you guys. Just to thank you for being such loyal listeners. And because we know some of you guys are brand new to human design and brand new to astrology and birth charting, uh, it includes our birth chart basics, how to read a chart in an hour class, as well as an intro to human design course that you get included so that you can learn it the way it's been learned and feel really comfortable going into this journey with us. So human design for astrologers.com. And we would love to have you in there.
that's right. You can already sign up and you'll start getting the modules this Sunday.
And that happens to be the same day that the North Node goes into Aquarius. So it's a great time to learn a system that was designed for the age of Aquarius. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, the Aquarius North Node is going to be such an interesting time. We haven't had the North Node in Aquarius since 2008 to 2009. So it's
yeah, it's really
been,
end of 2007, December, I believe.
I
So,
think it was December 18th. It was like Brad Pitt's birthday or something like that. I don't know why I remember talking to people about that, but yeah, That was the year Obama got sworn in, but then we also had Pluto moving into Capricorn and all the bank bailouts and things like that. And you've tracked the financial cycles. If you go on our YouTube, AstroTwins dash TV, um, you can see a video that Ophi made about the Great Compression and the financial cycles that really track with the lunar nodes in Leo and Aquarius. And when it does, when the North Node hits Aquarius, as it's about to, that's often a time when we're at the bottom of the cycle, where the crashes have occurred from the time of the Great Depression, even prior to that, right?
Well, I like to think of it as a correction, but the Aquarius
Not to
North Node,
scare everyone. Oh my God. Yeah.
the Aquarius North Node did coincide with the Great Depression, but the ending of it, and Nixon's gold shock in the 1970s. Yeah, we'll put the link. We have the video and the chapter from our 2026 horoscope book where I wrote about what happened during all of those cycles. So there was a 1930s stock market astrologer, she was known as, named Louise McWhirter, who traced different astrological trends that coincided with market trends, financial market trends. And the one that really hopped out to me was this McWhirter cycle of the North Node and the South Node being in Leo or Aquarius. So when it was at Leo, there would be a gold rush, and then 9.5 to 10 years later, there'd be a correction. So speculation with the Leo, gold, shiny, optimistic. And then Aquarius, kind of a consolidation, taking the money away from the kings and oligarchs and distributing it among the people. Let's hope. So we traced that. She wrote the book in 1938, so I went back and traced it all the way till the early 1600s to today. And the last time we had an Aquarius North Node, we had the first Bitcoin was minted in January 2008. Obama was inaugurated actually in early 2009, but he won the election in 2008 and immediately had to go into the bank bailouts. But those bank bailouts were a result of over speculation and things that happened during the last Leo North Node in 1999 with the dot-com era. Now, what we're doing with this Aquarius North Node era, which is from July 26, 2026 until March 26, 2028. So we have a year and a half of this. And this is the corrective follow-up to 2017 to 19. And what's interesting is that time was when there was the first ICO, initial crypto offering. It was the crypto bubble when all the prices and values shot up. Also, interestingly, AI, because Aquarius rules technology, space travel, uranium, nuclear power. The SpaceX stock just lost $1 trillion or whatever in its value. So,
wow.
We're going to see things going all over the map, I imagine, but it's not for panicking. It's about for really thinking about what is this wealth gap is unsustainable. Aquarius is about the people, it's public spaces, and it is flavored with democratic socialism. So we're going to talk about a few things that are going on, but we're going to be correcting from. I did a little research into the foundations of AI. So in 2015, when all the machine learning kind of early AI started, OpenAI was a nonprofit. And both Elon Musk and Sam Altman were involved in it. It was supposed to be for the common good, for the public, but that Leo North Node came along and people got greedy. And in 2019, at the end of that cycle, Sam Altman carved out part of OpenAI. It was a nonprofit. He made it a for-profit company, and that's why there's this beef between him and Elon Musk. And this is why so much of the
Wow.
corruption with the generative AI has happened. So that is definitely, not surprisingly, going to be the AI companies are not just like the .com companies did in the late 1990s. They're not bearing the fruit that, everyone who believed the hype hoped
I
that
mean,
they
these
would.
billionaires, the billionaire class, it's just like, how many billionaires are there? It's like every day there's a new billionaire. It's like,
I mean, it's so
my God,
basic.
it's like, no, it's
Can't
like,
you get it together and be a trillionaire?
I mean,
So, I
it's
mean,
our feed has been flooded. I mean, the new thing to be in the female entrepreneur space is an eight-figure founder. It's like eight
eight or
figures. It's
nine
like,
figures.
you
Yeah.
know, like if when why isn't a million enough for anyone anymore? No, it's got to be 10 million plus. Oh no, no, no. You've got to be a billionaire. It's like, no, a
I
few
think
of
people are going to
them,
get
but
turned off by that, and already
I'm
are.
just
There's a
turned off by that. It's like as the barrel curl that like shows up on every MAGA woman now. It's like if you're defining yourself as an eight-figure entrepreneur or any like if you're introducing yourself by your paycheck as a billionaire founder as a just like I
well, I find it hard
immediately
to
am just turned
believe.
off by you.
Yeah.
And are those your earnings or are those your company's revenue or and it's just I don't know. It's
It's a
like
big smoke screen, and it feels
yes.
like what's weird about it. It feels very like Pluto and Capricorn, which ended in 2024. It feels like kind of a legacy from that 2008 to 24 cycle where Pluto was in Capricorn, where people gained power within the system, and it had a different context when women broke
Mhm.
that wealth barrier. But now it's almost like, buy my formula on
Well, that's the
YouTube and
problem
be
right there.
this.
Exactly. It's like
It
it's
starts to feel
not
like a
about
pyramid or Ponzi
yeah, it's
scheme.
like, and if you comment this in my many chat, I will DM you my secrets for how you can get other people to DM you on your many
Right.
chat so you can start selling them a useless, empty product that isn't even a product that will ostensibly make them eight figures because why? So it's like the why behind everything is missing. The what is even missing. It's just like this, it is sort of this like, po- you know, Powerpuff Ponzi scheme going on, and I'm not here
Well, that
for
is
it.
gonna, the Aquarius North Node, which is accompanied, the nodes come in pairs of opposite signs. So that means the South Node, which is sort of the collective shadow work, is going to be in Leo for that year and a half, from July 26th of this year till March 2028. So while we are awakening to like, okay, great, even if you are an eight-figure entrepreneur,
I've got no
good for
problem with that,
you,
to
but
be
what are you?
clear.
Yeah, yeah, good for you. But
Close the
how are
wealth
you?
gap, please. Just
Yeah, how
don't.
are you giving back? How are you contributing? How are you making the world better? What I'm tired of seeing is people just talking about that and like, this is so great. Look at me in my fabulous life now, comment whatever, like you said, and you can have that too. That's what how are you changing the world? How are you making the world better?
Well,
So
The Aquarius North Node demands, that you pay attention to society, culture, impact. That's the medicine of the
ideals.
North Node, and the Leo South Node, it's like if it's just about ostentation or wealth or look at me or even like winning a prize to prove that you can do it without thinking about your impact. Yeah, well, and again, this is not to say that women shouldn't be closing the wealth gap and good for you if you make eight figures. It's just the emphasis on simply that dollar amount without the values is going to be very passe and a major turnoff and a cost to your brand as we move into this Aquarius North Node era that demands to know, where you're coming from. And we're already seeing with this, Jupiter and Leo season beginning as well as the South Node, some changes. Britain now has its seventh prime minister in a decade. Capricorn, Andy Burnham, who's supposed to be more, I think, on the progressive side. And then we have Troy Jackson, who is now the candidate replacing Graham Plattner, who dropped out of the race for being a potential sexual predator,
Virgo, he was.
alleged, but so Troy Jackson is actually an interesting person. He's a Cancer, but he's a logger from North Maine, and he was once a Republican, but he's morphed into a progressive Democrat, and
Hmm.
actually ran for governor, I guess, this year. So he's known among people in the state. He's not like coming out of nowhere. And so, yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like, he is somebody who has the potential to edge out Susan Collins, who, it's always Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, these two female Republican senators who are like, oh, no, well, we can't align with these, Republican values. They're not good for women or the LGBTQ community. In the end, they always capitulate, you
Yep.
know, signed on with the overturning of Roe. It's almost the worst kind of, Karen, if you will, like pretending to care about other women and in the end just going along to get along, like unable to stand up for women's rights and all and just but putting on a show as if,
I mean, the spinelessness, and we're just seeing that like even like whether it's the government or the World Cup, it just feels like everything is kind of like we're living in one big mob boss story, and
well,
nobody's
Leo rules the back, the spine, the heart. So that's interesting that you say, like, are people going to grow a spine, do you
encouraged.
think?
Will they? I mean, it's so the juxtaposition of Jupiter, which is opportunity and growth, being in Leo at the same time as the collective shadow of the South Node being in Leo. It's a little bit of a cloud over Jupiter. Uh, but also the cloud is there because we released greenhouse gases into the environment. It's like
Right.
it's there because we caused it to be there. So we don't get to just have this Jupiter and Leo carnival free for all. We're going to have to be responsible for paying our own admission if we want to play.
An example of, I think, the Leo South Node at its worst would be Natalie Joy Harp, aka the Human Printer. She's a 34-year-old aide to Trump. You may have seen her. She runs after him with a big bag, which people are calling his diaper bag, and a printer, a portable printer, because he needs to see news things printed out, read about himself. She is by his side all the time. She's literally left him notes that say, "You're all that matters to me." And he's written things like, "She'll never leave me." Um,
Laura
it's
Loomer's
twisted. Yeah,
replacement.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's devout Christian, apparently had bone cancer and survived, but like tells Trump it was all because of him. So, there's a sect of hyper religious people who think he's like the Messiah. So they just like, they've been brainwashed, and this is really actually true. They've been brainwashed into thinking that he is, the second coming of Christ. She's responsible, apparently. She's posts with him. So she's the one who put up the horrific racist tweet that depicted the Obamas as apes, and the one that depicted Trump as Jesus Christ. So
Wow.
she's digitally savvy. She's a millennial. She's also, I believe, an 8/8 Leo. So just that, like, pick me
South Node's coming for
devotion,
you,
that
honey.
cult like devotion. And that's something that the Aquarius North Node does have to look out for. Aquarius being more progressive, but still there can be this cult like fervor that follows it as well. Like, Aquarius is a collective, that Leo South Node. Like, if you're idolizing anyone, even if it's a progressive leader, you're still giving away your power. And I think that's something that we all are going to be needing to hold on to and remember.
Yeah, groupthink, you know, is definitely a risk of the Aquarius North Node. But the Great Compression, where everything kind of, I named it that because I just thought about things getting smaller from data, quantum, the compression of
They're calling
data
the
to
Aquarius
just,
North Node the Great
yeah, the Great Compression,
Compression.
like to a need to consolidate, even like a compression of our lifestyles a bit, because,
Oh, yeah.
and our use of technology and that kind of thing, because yeah, it's gotten to be too much. I was thinking about Jupiter and Pluto being opposite each other and how we have the outbreak of cyclosporiasis here from the iceberg lettuce supposedly at Taco Bell was traced to. Oh my
And
God.
maybe Taylor Farms, but their
Yeah,
crisis
blame it on Taco
management
Bell.
PR is already at work trying to tell.
Oh,
Yeah.
no doubt. Jupiter and Pluto were conjunct each other in 2020 at the
Hmm.
pandemic. And I actually did an article about it then, about how a lot of plagues and pandemics coincided with Jupiter and Pluto being in the same sign. They were both in Capricorn then. So now they're opposite. Jupiter is in Leo, Pluto's in Aquarius. So we're still seeing outbreaks and that kind of thing. I hope it's better as an opposition than a conjunction, than when they're
What?
together combining things. But Jupiter shines the truth teller's light on what's hidden below the surface from Pluto. So with the opposition,
Yeah.
the truth will come to the surface with a
But
lot of things.
also be a little dodgier and harder to expose. But it has opened up a conversation about how, just like foodborne illness, like so much of it actually comes from fresh produce. You haven't thought about planting your own lettuce, you might want to. This might be the summer. I actually started watching all these hydroponic videos on Instagram where I can't believe how expensive these things are. They're like 800 to 1600 bucks, but they're just PVC pipe, but it's
Hmm.
like I'm like, how do you build one of these yourself? I'm getting super
We'll
handy
probably figure it
now.
out. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's these they don't even use soil. They basically, it's like a pipe, a vertical tall pipe, and it has like little holes in it. And then um, you put like a little mineral pack in, but I guess you can do it
Hmm.
with a pump and water and then you put the plant start in and it sprouts. I mean, they're really cool to look at.
Hmm.
They're like almost like these tall sprouting things of, like a floral display of like basil or lettuce or cabbage. Anyways, either
Well,
way,
Chiron, the healer, the wounded healer, is in Taurus since June 19th till
it's
September
true. Well,
17th. So
right. Of
Taurus being
course, the
Earth, so
farmland is
that
getting all the
also,
shit in the farm. Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, a lot of this is because bad irrigation, like they're this, there've been all kinds of problems that people have had, like the microbial pathogens, listeria outbreaks have killed people, like bagged leafy greens are really salmonella, E. coli, it's just like that's the thing about, getting those pre-cut salad bags, they're like in there mold like spores are forming in there, it's just it's kind of scary when you think about it. Apparently 1,300 deaths each year come from pathogens.
Hmm.
Contaminated salad greens, according to the New York Times, are responsible for an estimated 2.3 million cases of illness and 5.2 billion in healthcare costs a year. A lot of it, again, this article in the New York Times is really interesting that I was reading. It says fresh produce is typically grown outdoors where it can be exposed to contaminated irrigation water, farm equipment, animals, insects, and pollutions. And also, farm workers who are on the clock, and they don't have these factory farms don't all have, safe conditions for their workers. They've got to pick those berries. They might just take a poop in the field, and there you go. E. coli. I mean,
Mm.
it literally does come down to that. They don't have enough bathrooms or clean porta
Or
potty.
breaks, probably.
Yeah, or breaks. I mean,
Some of
it's
these
just shining
places.
a light on, I'm thinking about Chiron and Taurus. Taurus is also,
Workers,
workers' rights. And the
labor,
Mercury retrograde in Cancer, which rules our digestion and nutrition. I mean, it's
the
really made me
stomach.
think about
Yeah,
where I buy my produce. I mean, I've
me
eaten these
too.
Taylor Farms kale and dried cherry and broccoli salads. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna get a mandolin and make this shit myself.
God. Wow. Well, speaking of Mercury retrograde, good news. It's ending this Thursday. And, Mercury's been retrograde in Cancer since June 29th, the day before Jupiter went into Leo. So everything has been like great news. But wait, this like the North Node's going into Aquarius, hope. But wait, Saturn's going retrograde. So manage your expectations. So there's been a lot of that kind of coinciding going along all year. The fire horse years started in February, but there was also Saturn and Neptune together, which so there are these major events happening all at once, and it's just a coincidence. Just the timing of it happens to be coinciding. But interestingly, so we talked about this a couple weeks ago. One of the things I learned from my friend Rachel Schwartz, who used to be the astrologer at the Kabbalah Center, and she's a Kabbalistically trained astrologer, was about something called the 3 negative weeks and the 9 negative days. It happens around during Cancer or Leo season every year. Depends on the lunar calendar. It's the 3 weeks leading up to a day on the Jewish calendar called Tisha B'Av, which was the ninth of the month of Av, the destruction of the temple. So the weeks leading up to that are sometimes called the 3 negative weeks or the 3 weeks of opportunity. So one of the cool parts about Kabbalah is it trains you to, or it talks about how we as humans were born with these reactive natures. We're always reacting when we, reach for food or drink or have an emotion. We're constant reacting machines. And when we start to develop consciousness, we can't shut off our reactivity, but we can recognize it and kind of practice they probably have they call it the pause now, but they used to call it
Hmm.
restriction. And I don't think they wanted that language, but the idea is like, oh, it's like finding that pause between stimulus and response. It's talked about, I mean, even in Stephen Covey's The Eighth Habit, that's what he talks about.
Yeah.
The moment, that moment when you're about to react and your neuro, your wiring is firing up. I'm just finishing up my Harvard Neuroscience of Leadership 6 week course this week, too, right as Mercury retrograde ends. That was one of my fun summer things that I signed up for, and I've learned so much. And there's a lot about the brain and the wiring, and so it's supported by brain science too. And but here's what it says on the One House Kabbalah website about it quickly. So it said we were about to enter into a period known as Ben Hametzarim, or the 3 negative weeks, which begins the evening of July 1st, 2026, through Tisha B'Av this year, July 23rd, 2026. So it's the ninth day of the month of Leo and marks the anniversary. Well, they do months differently, really. It marks the anniversary of several calamities throughout biblical and modern history, most notably the destructions of both holy temples. Okay, sure. But this part is what's interesting. It says, this is a time when our selfish natures tend to awaken. It is harder than usual for us not to react negatively. Some of us will face challenges Our certainty will be tested, and many will discover more negativity within ourselves than we ever wanted to see.
Mm.
Our initial reaction to this news might be that it sounds like a good 3 weeks to stay home and not leave the house. Doesn't that sound like what people
I
say
have
about
not left
Mercury
the house much at
retrograde
all. My
too? I
God.
really
Yeah.
haven't either. I've been like between my doing the
I
human
mean,
design course
I'm
and
in LA now, but I'm at helping an old friend who's having surgery. So, and I'm at his house. So I'm still
I mean, I've
inside.
definitely been in the Cancer shell. Yeah, yeah. So, but the Kabbalists teach that during these 3 weeks, there's actually more light available than usual, and that during the most difficult moments in life, we're given rare opportunities to change and grow spiritually. So, the idea is that light is what is consciousness, that everything is light or energy. And our job is to become bigger and bigger vessels for light by recognizing our reactive nature and finding moments when it starts to fire off that we catch ourselves and don't give into it. Don't, because we get a lot, our brain gets a lot of rewards when we react to things. We get an instant adrenaline or dopamine or oxytocin rush. We get bathed in these neurochemicals when we respond to things. But it says by focusing on transformation during these 3 weeks, when it's most difficult to do so, we can remove the negativity of our past, present, and future, and get past fear-based patterns that keep us stuck and block us from revealing great blessings. So it's a powerful 21 days if we choose to connect to the consciousness of unconditional love, sharing, and restriction, meaning not reacting. You still have a few days to do it. If we choose to take advantage by confronting our negative qualities, then we can move closer to that best version of ourselves and thereby create a better life for ourselves and a better world for us all. So, I mean, when moments test me like that, the Kabbalah writings online by Rav Berg, onehouse.kabbalah.com. I find so much interesting wisdom there that kind of reframes the challenges that life throws at us all the time
And
and
yeah,
helps us.
David
Yeah.
Guillaume too, who was a
Yeah.
teacher
He
who
was
has
one of my
gone on the
teachers. Yeah.
David Guillaume, Ghiam podcast, is one of my personal favorites. He says
Oh,
his
yeah.
way of saying is pause, what a gift. He used to say, pause, what a pleasure. So again, this doesn't mean at all that you should just go be an ostrich and hide your head in the sand, or let's not talk about what's happening in the news, or
No.
it's the idea is that whatever's it's almost like that Buddhist, it's such a universal wisdom thing, like the accepting what is. You pause instead of saying, "Oh my God, why has this happened to me? Oh no, it's so terrible." And I mean, of course, we are going to say that about some things, but to go pause, what a gift, what am I learning? What am I seeing? Like it's kind of putting you in the
Or just
mindset,
to
yeah.
just to get out of the amygdala and that, because that's where you go to fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And it doesn't mean you're like, well, I'm just going to accept that, like if you, for example, I was reading something online about how people who are neurodiverse have hyper empathy and react to seeing terrible things happening in the world with,
Mhm.
extra sensitivity too. So it's not like pause and just stick your head in the sand. Like you said, it's not just like, but it's like, okay, if I'm in a reactive state and upset about it, I may not be able to make as big of an impact in changing this. So sometimes the feelings, it's almost like when you turn off a lawnmower and it still keeps making noise, or an engine or a machine, even though you've taken the key out of the ignition or turned it off, it like takes a minute. That's kind of what our machinery is like. And then if you can just stand still for a moment, you can find a path of guidance to impact the situation from your highest self. So that's what these 3 weeks of opportunity / 3 negative weeks have been about, coinciding almost to the day with Mercury retrogrades beginning and ending. And I thought it was worth mentioning that because we have a few more days of Mercury retrograde, and every minute is an opportunity to notice yourself, getting tempted and pulled into a lower vibration, and to bring your more evolved register of yourself to that scenario. It's you, every minute is a new opportunity for that.
And
So
don't turn this into a new gold standard for yourself either. That
no,
can be
we're
a
not getting eight
pitfall of it
figure
where it's like, oh
women
my God,
and
I had a
perfect saints.
reaction, because there is a lot to be.
Well, you will have reactions. That's the thing. It's like we are always having reactions, but when we react to the reactions, we just lessen our power. It doesn't make you good or bad. It just means, oh, well, that's just what happened. You have to forgive yourself and move on and do better and learn. That's how we gain wisdom,
I'll
not
tell
by
you what
beating
I had
ourselves
in
up.
I'll tell you what I had a reaction to this week, and and I don't know what Kabbalah would say about this, but I don't care. I am reacting with sheer joy of the fact that Andrew and Tristan Tate, the Tate brothers, were swooped down and arrested in Miami. And
Mm-mm.
they are two of the most despicable among the manosphere. Andrew Tate was an MMA fighter for a while, professional. But he is a professed misogynist and he teaches classes that offer a PhD, pimping hose degree. Him and his brother were
Oh,
literally, there was a travel ban on them. They were arrested in Romania. They had a whole sex trafficking ring. They would lure women in, groom them, and then sexually abuse them, have them do porn,
physically
and they'd take
abuse
the money.
them.
Yeah, they were arrested and, on a completely superficial note, but this is Jupiter and Leo. Andrew was wearing a tight purple shirt, like practically high water capri pants and loafers. Looked like he stepped out of like the gay bar. And this guy is he's getting mocked left and right for the
Getting
outfit
dragged.
alone. But because this is somebody it's like, why are you wearing our clothes if you hate us so much? You professed misogynist. But they were actually all these that we've been saying, Neptune retrograde was going to expose all these things. And I do think, they were not supposed to be in the United States, but Barron Trump admired them, and Trump comes into office, and all of a sudden they're allowed to come back and they're doing videos of themselves in their suits on a private plane, and they're just,
Barron Trump. Yeah, I will tell you, I know what Kabbalah would probably say
yeah,
about this
please,
because one
please.
of the principles is certainty and timing. So, what I learned in my Kabbalah studies is that um, cause and effect don't happen in a linear fashion. So, the reason you see people behaving badly like them and thinking they get away with it is because the effect of it doesn't happen. It seems like,
Oh,
oh, they're
yeah.
getting away with everything, but then it catches up with them at a later time. So, just because it seems like you can get away with everything, it does not necessarily mean that you can. And I just see so many people just accumulating horrible karma for themselves from
Almost like the thing to
Marco
do.
Rubio, for example, trying to get far left activists classified as terrorists and banned from the US if they travel, not allowed to return, not even allowed to travel or fly. Like, what a
What
waste
makes
of
someone far
counterterrorism.
left,
Well, exactly. Are they going to go scraping people's social media
Well, then
accounts?
you have in Israel far-right ministers Itamar
Mhm.
Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich, who are basically rallying Israeli citizens to go and try to expand the settlements in Gaza. They're like Netanyahu's right-hand men. It's like nobody has any values or morals right now who's in the public eye and leadership. Like so few people, celebrities have gone silent by and large. Like, what do they stand for anymore? The media is terrified to be defunded. So there's such a noose around what you're allowed to write about or talk about. Remember just 3 years ago when trans rights and body positivity and feminism, and it was just what was in every article, but
This is
whatever.
how fascism and authoritarianism work. It's like we're now past the early stages of it. We
Mhm.
see it's working. Like Cory Booker and Kamala Harris are posting tributes to their friend Lindsey Graham, for example. Just it's like, what on earth is going, what alternate universe are we living in? And it's just, yeah, what's happening
Trying
with
to be good. The Democrats try to be good people, and I respect that, but it's like this good, that's how, I said this years
I
ago.
respect that when we're not in this kind of a scenario right now. Now, what they're doing is being weak sellouts and protecting their own asses instead of the people that they represent. They don't deserve to be representatives of the people that they're trying to get funding and votes from. If they're going to capitulate like that, how can we trust them? Again, something that I learned a lot of interesting things about in my class that I did this summer about trust and leadership. And if, one of the
Sophie's a
big,
high vibe twin today. I'm just pulling us down to Hades. I saw the Odyssey last night on the big screen.
I mean, whatever, we're just balancing each other out here. But
Yeah.
taking classes has kept my mind in good places. But it just, what was most, I think I'm in that vibe because I'm like, wow, I took this Harvard class because we've been working with senior leaders and executives and doing some really amazing things with our book, The Astrology Advantage, our IAM system, and just our work in general have been, honored by some of the people that have hired us to guide them. And maybe it's my Capricorn rising, but I was learning about mindfulness and leadership and researching for the keynote that we did in April. And I stumbled upon this program and just decided to follow my gut and sign up for it. And I thought, just why not have some certifications if I'm working with all these leaders too? And I'm so glad I did. Um, Made me trust myself more and realize, wow, I have learned a lot of this already on my own too. And just so it's great to know how much education is available to us. But I really
Mindful leadership is what this Leo Sun, Jupiter, South Node
yeah,
trifecta is really calling for, and even beyond Leo season, because for the rest of
Barbo
Jupiter and
basket.
Leo, all the way until July 26th, 2027, the South Node will simultaneously be in Leo the whole time. So, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like
So true.
lead, take charge, but do it mindfully.
Well,
Don't,
here's what's interesting
yeah.
about mindfulness too. So, you know, this whole quest started when I was looking at AI and intuition and realizing they're somewhat the same. AI goes out and searches all the knowledge that's publicly available on the web. And then, of course, in some cases, it goes to copywritten intellectual property too. But
Oh
it
God,
goes
yeah.
and finds in this bank of existing knowledge patterns, and then crunches them down and creates these models. Well, our intuition actually does the same thing, but instead of going outward, it goes inward. Our intuition, which we're told to trust also, is not 100% foolproof because in what we call intuition is us going and searching our internal database of memories, bodily sensations, feelings, emotional experiences. And unless we have some consciousness or mindfulness about it, sometimes that what we call intuition can actually be a cognitive bias against other people. Oh, I had a when we were little, we were afraid of men with beards because,
I
like
think
for
that was a
like,
past life cognitive bias.
yeah, right, probably, but like things like that. So what I learned in my research on that was like the cure for that was mindfulness, which is like that Kabbalistic pause. Like
It
my
is.
body is telling me something, I'm not going to shut it down, but I'm going to take a mindful moment and question it, step back. And I think maybe I'm in the space because I'm human design, all the work I've been doing too, because when we locate, what human design is about is like getting out of our minds and using the rest of our energetic centers to make decisions as well. It's like I've
It's not just in
realized,
the mind at all.
yeah, no, like between Harvard, human design, astrology, Kabbalah, and everything, the common message that I've gotten for July is that the mind is our best and our worst, our best friend and our worst enemy. It's amazing to gain knowledge and wisdom,
Hmm.
but we have to use other parts of ourselves and check in with other inner authorities as well before just following what our minds and what's known. You need to have beginner's mind and a growth mindset. So, I
Very
hope that
hard
that
to
is,
do
it
with,
is hard to do. It's a practice, it's a
especially when
muscle.
we're getting so much intellectual and just mental stimulation all the time from our devices, from our news feeds, from our, and it's Aquarius with the North Node is, intellect as well. But so
Yeah,
it's like we
it
are, and
actually
it's
is that.
technology. So like, but also it's an interesting sign with this Aquarius. Aquarius rules community as well as technology. So it can just as much be about those analog gatherings with people who share our ideals and as much as it is about just like getting lost in a tech, oligarchs, funnel and being
It's
pulled
also
in.
emotional detachment too, and that is one of the things about Aquarius that people misunderstand. Like, now, yes,
Hmm.
they can be cold as ice, like Mike Johnson, Jeffrey Epstein. There've been some cold, cruel Aquarians out there, but of course, there have been cold, cruel people of every sign. But um, what it really is about is not shutting off your emotions and being a robot, but taking the mindful moment, taking that objective pause from reacting. So this is kind of a full circle theme as we come into the week of the Aquarius North Node. Time to really find mindful moments wherever we can, because it is going to be a dramatic year with Jupiter and Leo. So, and how can we enjoy some of that and the playful, creative, artistic? It's a great time to do the
And the
artist's
innovation,
way.
yeah, or the innovative innovation of Aquarius too. I was,
Mm-hmm.
the apparently the app store is getting flooded with vibe coded apps, for
Oh
example.
God.
Like I know for better or for worse, but speaking of an Aquarius, well, this country may or may not be an Aquarius. It has like 5,000 birthdays, but Spain won the World Cup this Sunday, and we did a little more digging into Spain's birthday, and it has so many birthdays, but when it was unified as a state on January 20th, 1479. And it is officially an Aquarius. It was in the Julian calendar, but it was also maybe formed on October 19th, 1469, which would make it a Libra, which was the marriage of Ferdinand and Isabella that created Spain. So, oh, these medieval moments. But it was interesting how the global significance of Spain and Argentina was not lost on the world, because Spain is one of the few countries that has their president has actually actively stood up for Gaza, whereas Argentina has been very aligned with the Israeli government and Netanyahu. It was like the whole crux of, what so many people are fighting about politically showed up on the soccer field in the World Cup. And we've had the war. it's so hard, but we have to live in this duality, because these wars are continuing to rage on. We had two U.S. service members killed. One of them was 19-year-old Latina American Isabel Gonzalez. So there were two more fatal ICE shootings that have been in the news. There have been more than that, but the Lorenzo Salgado Araujo of Houston and Juan Sebastian Duran Guerrero of Maine. Um, and, they were just stopped and killed completely unwarranted by these masked vigilantes without body cameras who are just randomly joining ICE. There's no vetting
So terrible.
process. And then we lose a soldier, who's of Latino heritage, and she's fighting for the country at age 19, the country that would maybe pull her over just because of the way she looked.
Trying to deport her, lock her up.
Yeah, and this is who dies for the country. There's also a lot coming out about Gemini Pete Hegseth, who has covered up the head of the Department of War, as he's called, renamed it, covering up a lot of the injuries. So, Iran is they're there's a lot of problems, obviously, with Iran in terms, I mean, they were killing women in the street for their hair showing a couple years ago. They have this, you know, iron-fisted regime, but the US and Israel, who started the war with them together, were not prepared. And we're running out of interceptor missiles where, it's like dragging on so much longer than, and meanwhile, of course, who's making the drones, who's getting rich, you know, the crony capitalists who are friends of Trump and Bibi and all, and this billionaire class, it's war is profitable. Look, we have to talk about this. We have Neptune and Saturn in Aries, a sign of war. So, you
Maybe
know,
Saturn going retrograde will help
I hope so.
this.
That happens on Sunday. So Neptune's already retrograde.
We do have a Libra quarter moon this week, which could be
It could,
okay. It's on
but what,
Tuesday.
watching the Odyssey last night, which is, Odysseus going and, the war and with the Trojan horse and Agamemnon and all these, it's just like men killing each other. But it did have a
Every
message
movie.
about how that was breaking Zeus's law. So it's like, but I was thinking while I was watching it, like, we're doing the same damn thing. Like we've come so far, supposedly, as a civilization, and yet here we are. We're still, you know, doing this chest beating, toxic masculinity, let's go out and kill as many people as we can and then we win this war. It's just like, can we just
And then all
stop
live happily
already?
ever
Yeah, this
after.
is my
Roll
land. I'm going to
credits.
invade. I'm going to go and settle your land and take it over by force. Or, you know, Andrew Tate, I'm going to, turn you into my sex slave. I'm not trying to be the negative voice here,
But
but
also the
three
Greek
negative weeks are still
tragedies
going on.
and and but the Homer and all the point was not to make it into this Hollywood glorification of war. I
Exactly.
mean, there were so many there were lessons and wisdom. I had to read the Odyssey
Exactly.
with my daughter last year for high school, and it was all about like all the homework that I did when I was also in 10th grade last year was some real deep reflection about morals, values,
Well,
right
yeah,
and wrong. What do you think? It was meant to make you philosophically
that
reflect,
came
not
through in the
the only,
film.
okay, good. I was worried the only reflection was going to be the
No, it
oiled
wasn't just
lick of Matt Damon's chest there. So
No, it wasn't just gratuitous violence. There was a lot of, at least a fair amount of philosophical, chin stroking going on about,
that's
breaking
good. I
Zeus's
mean, I
law.
want to see it. So I think, it's also like we can enjoy something for the sake of entertainment, especially if we're like, if that's what gets us out of that reactive mode. But to your point,
Well,
it's
I'm
meant to
sure.
meant to be on the screen, but
I'm
it's
not the
it's
only person I think who had the thought of like, wow, and here we are,
right.
in 2026, just
Life
blowing each other
imitating.
up, killing each other, getting nowhere, like just like trying to overtake each other's land,
And
raping and
everyone thinking it's for a
pillaging.
noble cause and blah blah blah. I know.
Matriarchy now, matriarchy now. But
Exactly. Yes. I mean,
oh my
not
God.
eight-figure matriarchy unless we're going to be using those eight figures for
Oh,
bettering the world
please
for
have a
ourselves and everyone
nine-figure
else.
matriarchy. I'm here
Yeah.
for a billionaire matriarchy. Just don't make me go in your funnel and comment, you know, comment 8 figures to get your useless ebook about absolutely nothing but how to get other people to comment 8 figures and get my useless ebook about absolutely nothing. That's
Yeah.
all.
I
Is
got
that too much
interviewed
to
on our
ask?
our
I'm just
friend Shama Bunton, who is a Leo and puts on an event called the Wealth Catalyst Summit that will actually be speaking at in October. And she's actually on a mission for women who do not have generational wealth handed to them to use the wealth that they earn to create generational wealth going forward
great.
and close that wealth gap. And I love that about her philosophy because what I've learned in my travels throughout 2025 and 26 is that a lot of the women who do have generational wealth, and there's this phenomenon happening called the great wealth transfer, where boomers who pass on will leave all their wealth to Gen X and younger generations. And so a lot of those will be women who are going to become wealthy as a result of that. And the hope is that some of those women will do world changing things, and I'm sure they will. Abigail Disney is an example of someone who does. But what I've learned is sadly, in most cases, when women become inherit wealth, they turn it over to the family accountant, or they have what's called a family office that runs it. It's already tied up in a lot of other things. So this idealistic vision that they'll just go out and immediately start changing the world. I wish, but
They
all
probably,
it
a lot
takes,
of women probably resist even touching the money. They just don't want to have anything to do with it or they
yeah, they
feel
might not even
overwhelmed.
be, yeah, they might, if you don't have a good relationship with money, that's just going to show up. It's just like if we don't have a good relationship with our bodies and we try to be in a relationship with someone, that's going to come out too. Or it's just, we have a lot, we all as humans have a lot of work to do. But I think it just goes to show, like, you see how people are being swayed into following these authoritarian things because it's become normalized. I mean, that is, if it's repeated, the lies are repeated over and over again. That's what Steve Bannon's method out, tactic was with January 6th and the insurrection. So if we see a critical mass of people going the other way, it's so hard for people to break the spell and break the cycle. But
Yeah.
whether it's the great wealth transfer or women who earn their own money who come together, it doesn't just have to be women. We'll take all the allies we can get, but the Aquarius North Node is going to be about some brave people who break away from this worship of kings and queens and celebrities and wealth
And
billionaires
money, yeah,
and
in general. Like, what is wealth? Like,
golden
what do we
calf.
consider wealth, as you were saying during the Great Compression earlier? It's like, where's that enough point? I don't know. This feels like a really big shift of a week. And,
Yeah, and
there
then the
are
next
some,
one we have even more happening too. We have
let's
the
talk about
Day of
human design
Miracles
actually,
and
too. Yeah.
yeah, so let's let's finish on the note of the human design. We have the sun traveling through another portal, the human design portal that we call the gate. There are 64 of them. So in a year's time, it goes through all 64. This week, it's in gate 56, which is in the throat. So we're going to experience the energy of Leo and the sun. This is how you can think of it in our throats by wanting to use our voices. And the name of this gate or this energy is the gate of the storyteller. And it's more traditional
Mm.
naming. It's been called stimulation or the wanderer. So this is a week to tell our stories and share more and use our voices and find that common ground through sharing who we are and what we've been through and humanize each other that way. So
Wouldn't that
I always
be
think
nice? Wouldn't
when
that
you
be
know
nice?
someone's story, it's so much harder to put them in a box. You can't help but find some common ground with them. Of course,
Yeah, I've been thinking
exception.
about how when, a couple months ago you did an episode, a special episode with our friend Netta, who is
Yeah.
Iranian. And as many of you know, our father was raised in Israel. And, one of the
We
things
were raised in Detroit with the
yeah,
largest Arab population outside the Middle
which gives
East.
us such a unique perspective on things. Like we know firsthand the stories of people who are Jewish, people who are Arabic, people who are Muslim, people who are Christian Arab, people who are from, all over the Middle East. And yet,
Zoroastrian. Yeah.
right. And yet, one of the things that has been just so frustrating to me is just watching this, the polarizing that has happened, as if all Jews think one way or all, people from Palestine or Lebanon or, Gaza or Jordan think or Iran think one way,
Well, that's why the gate of the storyteller can really come in because I always share haaretz.com, the English version for, unbiased cross cultural news in the Middle East region. It's one of Israel's largest, oldest independent newspapers. And they really report on the stories of people who are coming together, making change, not in a kumbaya way, but very, very real. And it's a reminder that not everybody is brainwashed, not everybody is, you know, fighting over land. There are so many people there that are like, let's share space, let's make this work for everyone. There's
Yeah,
a new part.
Natalie Portman, who is a Gemini, a Gemini who is not like Marco Rubio and Donald Trump. She praised she is backing an Arab Jewish party ahead of the 2026 Israeli election. She's using a message of choose equality, choose hope. She actually addressed people at an online fundraiser. So there's a celebrity, there's the first celebrity we've seen in a while who's actually speaking up for something besides, anti this, anti that. She's actually taking a stand for this is very much in alignment with the Aquarius North Node. She's actually
Well, yeah.
taking a stand for something new, something that hasn't been done before. And Saturn and Neptune and Aries too are about envisioning a new way of doing things. And
And if you didn't know, Natalie Portman, at least one of her parents, if not both, are from Israel. And the two people that are starting this new party, the guy, I think it's a Palestinian woman and an Israeli Jewish man, and he's been organizing all, maybe both of them, been organizing all these protests in, I believe, Tel Aviv. And it started with just a few people, but now, over 1,000, if not more, come. And they decided they're starting a party. So it's almost mirroring like the Democratic
yeah,
Socialists and Mamdani and this rising group of people that don't want the same. you know, politicians who can be bought and sold and align with corporate or other interests and take people's money and then serve the interests of corporations or wealthy people instead of the people who elected them. And that's the desire for that, for equality and justice, is, I believe, in a lot of our DNA at least. So I think that during the gate of the wanderer, wander outside of your comfort zone, wander outside of just these monolithic things that you're hearing. Don't just read about the people who are causing destruction. Read also about the people who are opposing them and fighting for something bigger that unifies us all this week. That's what I would
Hmm.
say, especially as we come out of Mercury retrograde, go into the idealist Aquarius North Node. We need to have hope, and it starts with you. It starts with each of us. We're, Pisces North Node. Pisces can be a little victimy, passive, waiting for someone else to do it, show up and do it for us. That's what we've been in the last year and a half. That's ending. It started
Hmm.
in January 2025. Now we're going into this more sovereign, independent, rebellious. I've had enough. I'm not waiting for permission. So I'm hoping that a
Yeah.
few positive revolutionary souls find the courage from Jupiter and Leo to speak out and step out.
Well,
And you know what?
yeah.
Maybe you're one of them. Be the change you want to see in the world. Don't wait for someone else to show up. You are it.
The names of the new Israeli Palestinian party founders, I think they're the founders, Alon Lee Green, who's Israeli, and Rula Daoud and Sally Abed, who are Palestinian. So they are calling for an end to war, but also for peace and reconciliation. They're insisting on the humanity of Palestinians in Israel and occupied territory alike. So they're just, this is something new, something we haven't seen. They're actually for something instead of just against it. So that's what I think Mom Donnie is doing well in New York. It's like, whether you agree with everything about him or not, you know what he's for. You know what
That's
he's there to build.
mindfulness and action too. New conversations. Like we're not just searching for what's already been said, what's already been done, what we already know. That comes from the past. And the past, it has gotten us here, but it might not get us to the next phase. We need people, like you're saying, something new. Novelty stimulates dopamine. Dopamine causes people to get motivated to take action. We work on this in our classes for many years. Micro movements, micro doses, micro changes, because just that little hit of dopamine you get from trying something totally new. It's probably why I'm in a positive mindset. I've been doing
Yeah.
new things all summer during Mercury retrograde.
You
So
do
I'm like,
get dopamine
I
from
have,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I have like a belief from that. My brain
Mm.
is telling me something else is possible. Believe in that. So if you normally read nonfiction and you read a novel, or, especially with the storyteller week, do something new and see what happens. Give
This
yourself that
party
hit.
is called A Place for Us All, the new
Yeah,
Jewish Arab party,
that's
which I
right.
feel is very,
Very
very much in
Aquarius,
the
North
Aquarius North on A
Node.
Place for Us All. So
Well,
we're,
I'll be
I hear,
following them and wishing them well.
yeah, because that's what it comes, it's like we're all humans for God's sake, like this whole like fighting over land and this is mine and that is mine. It's just like it's all human construct. I get that it matters to people too, because our homes were like wired to have a home and we need our shelter, we need our safety. So I'm not trying to minimize that, but like,
Well, that's also the 412-year era that's ending February 15th, 2027 in human design as we go into a new 400-year era. We're ending
true.
the era of planning, moving to the era of the sleeping phoenix. We have a be talking about that in the course too. So join us for human design for astrologers if you feel called. Would love to introduce it to you in a way that you can start to use somatic astrology, tune into yourself, your body, the wisdom of the stars and of the ancient traditions that it uses, but that's already in all these sort of unused or dormant energy centers in your body that you may not have been paying attention to. You already are wired with the guidance system that you need. So we would love to teach that to you if you are interested. humandesignforastrologers.com, and hope to see some of you guys also on our monthly manifestation meetup this Tuesday, July 21st. And and we do those every month. They're free. They're a gift to you and a place to gather and come together. So wishing you a great start to Leo season
Yes,
and all
and
the
the end of
changes
Mercury
ahead.
retrograde and
Woohoo.
Pisces and Virgos, you're going to be free of the nodes that, no matter where they are on your chart, we know it's been a big test on you. Also, people who have their lunar nodes and Virgo and Pisces will, you're passing the baton to those who have them in Aquarius and Leo. If you are an Aquarius or Leo, you're stepping into a new, destiny, but there could be some karmic tests, some ways you're not going to be able to coast, but you're going to grow in some really incredible ways. So
Yep.
pause, what a gift. And we will be back next week with more Astro Twins Radio. Thanks for tuning in to Astro Twins Radio. If today's episode gave you an aha moment, we'd be over the moon if you left us a 5-star review. It helps fellow astrology lovers find us. And make sure to hit subscribe and follow us on iTunes and Spotify so you never miss an episode. Want the full visual experience? You can also watch the video version on our YouTube at AstroTwins-TV. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at AstroTwins and head over to astrostyle.com to read your free daily, weekly, and monthly horoscope that we write for you with love. Until next time, move with intention and let the universe meet you there.